This is Dave at TitleSearch.com and AFX Search Investigations in Palm Beach. Fraud can occur as part of real estate transactions, and fraud can even be what a real estate transaction is about. Since real estate is a high dollar transaction, in some cases a fraud scheme or Ponzi scheme will be based on real estate. One of the reasons why it's easier to create phantom transactions with real estate than it is sometimes with cash accounts. If you're going to have a Ponzi scheme or some type of investment scheme and it has to do with cash or stocks, you have to document those dollar for dollar in banks or lending institutions or financial institutions. Real estate can be used as a vehicle to commit fraud and to represent transactions. We worked on a case a few years ago where there was a investment scheme that represented huge returns for investors. We're talking 15, 20, 30% returns a year. In some cases, it was 10% a month that could be realized, and they were soliciting funds from investors to get these huge returns. And what they were representing is that they were putting money in real estate and flipping these houses every 2 or 3 months for huge profits by buying foreclosures. So a couple concerned investors had us take a look at these real estate deals to see if this flipping and this investment was actually happening. We looked at a few of the addresses, and a standard title search, if it had been done by a regular title search agency, would have shown there were transactions every 3 or 4 months on these addresses that were used for examples. However, we took it a step further, and we do what's called title forensics in a case like this, where we looked at these transactions and we found that there were transfers of deeds from different names on these properties. But on further review, the entities and the names of companies were all shell companies. They were not actual arm's length transfers. They were the same people just filing a deed to transfer the property to a different name. There were no underlying transfers of money, even though there were dollar amounts listed on the deeds for higher amounts each time. There were no money changing hands. What proved that also was we checked to look at prior open mortgages. The first owner of this property that started out on this chain of title had a mortgage. That mortgage was never paid off. So each one of these transfers would have triggered a payoff of mortgage if it was a true arm's length transfer. In addition, a transfer of a property often triggers a due on sale clause with a mortgage. So this mortgage should have been paid off even if they were not actual transfers. So you look at the actual instrument of these transfers to see were there different names? Are the signatures different? We found that one of the transfers 3 or 4 deep into this chain had the same signature of one of the original transfers. Look at the notaries. If it's the same notary every time over the course of a year and a half, what's the chance that that notary was the same one they used? Now, if there was a common title company used, that may have explained it, but then again, why is that title company coming up again and again on this chain of transfers? So the notary was an issue. We also, on a title forensics case, want to look at if that notary has any vested interest with any of these deals. Is it a non-related party? Most states require that notaries don't have any interest in the paperwork that they're documenting. So there's a relationship with the parties. Are they an agency record of any of the corporations? Is the notary a financial beneficiary of these transactions? And we're also going to look at witnesses to the documents. Some real estate documents require a notary and 2 witnesses. Do any of these names show up again? Do any of these names repeat themselves throughout the process? So real estate fraud is a common activity in any type of Ponzi scheme, any type of investment scheme. Sometimes the money from investment schemes go into real estate, and that can also track a flow of funds. So flipping real estate by itself is not fraud, but it may be a red flag to look to see if there's underlying fraud, or if an investment scheme in real estate is actually creating activity and new funds, or if it's just the same property churning through the same hands as a kind of representation that real investment and real profits are being made.